So, welcome
Um,
back. This is Night Flight, and today it's time to talk to Trina Phoenix again. And we will probably go far out there, and that is always the fun with Trina. So, Trina, welcome back. How are you?
oh, thank you for having me, Judith. It's always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
So, yeah, we just talked about off camera about the fact that someone from the Pentagon announced on CNN that the US will supply Patriot missiles to the Ukraine. And so now we think about that for a second, that an American missile hits Russia. So yeah, that can go in a lot of ways. And then you mentioned holding the frequency. So please elaborate a little bit.
Okay, when we're faced with these things, it's like, right now, nobody feels like they have a voice. And, we have
Mhm.
to be so careful with what we even speak, which, I'm not used to that. I was raised where we were allowed to kind of say what we wanted. Everything is changing, and they're trying to suppress the voice and, stuff like this because I think that they truly do understand the power that we have as humanity. And in my heart, I believe the United States, none of us want to nuke Russia. None of us want to kill these people. And the ones here that do want that to happen, they're probably just a little off balance in their mental capacities. So, with that, most human beings do not want to harm or kill or hurt other human beings.
Yeah.
So, if we have our way, these things wouldn't even be allowed to be happening. So, with the power of consciousness, we've been proven by Dr. Emoto's work how we can focus on water and change the effect of the water, change the frequency, and have it create beautiful patterns instead of disease and disharmony and viruses and all these things. So, if we can see scientific proof that we literally, as observers, can affect matter, which means the material world we're living in, we truly do have a chance to affect the outcomes on our world. So when they're saying we're going to nuke or we're going to do this or we're going to fire missiles, literally see the missiles turning into butterflies. See peace. See that somehow they change their mind. See that the equipment mysteriously breaks before they go to hit the button. See 1,000 different ways that it deters to bring forth a positive outcome for humanity, for the whole world. How do we see things working out? Do you know, look at 1,000 different ways you can see, wow, it didn't happen because of. It didn't happen because of. And the celebration of that and the feeling of joy of seeing no destruction and no more death and war stopping. And you have to literally create it. And it's going to come at us against all odds because everybody that's watching the mainstream is being drilled 24/7. These horrible things are going to happen. These horrible things are going to happen. These food shortages and this and that and this and that and this and that. It will happen if we believe their program. If we follow their program, we will get the results of the programs that we installed into the world. We have to understand we are the driver behind this quantum machine. It's us. It's our consciousness. It's what we think. It's what we project. It's what we observe. It's what we look at. We affect the quantum field with every thought. So when these negative situations are coming at us, we literally have to have the mind power and the force to change the effects of what they're producing within our world because they're creating too. So we have to choose what we're going to focus our attention on it, what we're going to see in our world and believe it and mean it and see it like it's already yours. The
Mm.
more people that can step into that power, the lesser the effect they will be able to have on us as a world, and the stronger we will become, because it only takes a person to see this happen one time and know that they were a part of it. It brings forth a power and ignition of our hearts, and we literally unify, and our hearts beat as one rhythm. We can change the world if we unify. And this is what they're terrified of. That's why they're promoting and doing all of the fear. It's the only way they can stop what we can do.
Yeah. I have to say, especially, yeah, since 2020, one of the hardest things for me was, if you are somebody who sees a little bit more than the others, you see the patterns, you can see or feel a development, something like that. Living among those that are completely blind was one of the biggest challenges for me.
That is a big challenge, Judith. That's true.
So you have that as well?
Oh, my whole life. I've been doing this since I was 3 years old. It's rough. It's rough. It's really
Mhm.
rough. Yeah, it's really rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying it wasn't like that before. Of course it was. But especially since 2020, I I really got very close losing my patience.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. That this has been it's been a psychological operation. And when you're outside of it and you can see what's happening, you do see what's happening. But most of the people around you, they really truly do not see. They just don't. And it's very
Mm.
difficult to be in a world where, the majority of the people around you are just literally running a program for a very dark operative, and they have no awareness that they're actually creating the story that they don't want to witness or see, but they're doing it by default because they don't understand how to actively create within this world as a creator. They only know how to be a creator by default of running the programs that the Matrix is installing, which eventually will lead to your demise.
Yeah, I think I have something interesting. I will briefly share my screen, and then we will see what Miss Trina has to say. The human brain is capable of building structures with up to 11 dimensions. This is a new study done in Switzerland. And they say here, we found a world that we had never imagined, said neuroscientist Henry Markram, director of Blue Brain Project and professor at the EPFL in Lausanne, Switzerland. There are tens of millions of these objects, even in a small speck of the brain, up through 7 dimensions. In some networks, we even found structures with up to 11 dimensions. So I skip a little bit here forward. And it says here, in order to distinguish between them, the researchers made the decision to employ algebraic topology, a field of mathematics that deals with the creation of algebraic invariants connected to topological spaces. In order to apply this field, the Blue Brain Project requested the help of mathematicians Ran Levy from Aberdeen University and Catherine Hess from EPFL. Algebraic topology is like a telescope and microscope at the same time. It can zoom into networks to find hidden structures, the trees in the forest, and see the empty spaces, the clearings, all at the same time. So, Trina.
That is fascinating. That is fascinating. And I have seen that in my own consciousness, but I do think that it goes above that. I've seen all the way to 16 different levels. Um, and I haven't gotten past 13 at all for any conceptualization other than the fact that I've seen that there's more. There's 16, and I was born on the 16th day, and so they've always told me 16, pay attention to 16. And then the quantum computer has just identified 16 multiple parallel realities that we're simultaneously existing on. And then CERN said they destroyed 5. So if that's true, we would be now left with what, 11? Which would be funny because that would be 11 dimensions. So, yeah. So yeah, I think it's fascinating, and I think there's obviously there's a lot of truth to it. Science is now confirming it, and it's ironic they were using blue light. Blue light is the representation of our connection to the Sirius part of us, and that is the Sirian Orion constellations, which emanates the star. I think it's Sirius A, which is the second brightest star in our solar system, or B, I don't remember off the top of my head. But that Sirian would be the light spectrum you would need to travel through to access multiple dimensional capabilities, because those are the highest dimensional capabilities of your construct of your light body are emanating through the sun behind the sun, which would be that part of our solar system. So that's profound to me. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I would, this article also has the link to the study itself in it. And so people can look that up. And I thought, isn't that interesting? And it goes directly against what Mr. Yuval Harari is always telling us, that we are just an accumulation of carbon atoms that can be hacked and programmed, and there's nothing else to it. So he leaves out the spiritual side completely. It's a totally materialistic ideology. And as far as I'm concerned, and I think this study confirms it again, that this materialistic point of view has been debunked a long time ago.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And now it's so cool because now even I found this interesting. I was looking at an old dictionary and I was looking up meta. I wanted to know what was meta in an old dictionary. And it was so funny what the definition was. It blew my mind. Okay, let me see if I can find it really quick. So it says meta, para, and meta goes basically para, all the paras. So paranormal, parapsychology, supernatural. So meta and para are kind of the same word. And so it says meta as an adjective, chemical, pertaining to or occupying 2 positions in the benzene ring that are separated by 1 carbon atom. Interesting. So, and then after that, it's so if you're looking at meta containing 2 positions simultaneously within a benzene ring, when I was contemplating that in my mind's eye, that's when I saw negative, positive. I kept seeing, then I started seeing the division that we sit within in this dipole system of polarity within an atomic structure, because that atom is a charged particle. So within the electrical field of that, you've got positive, negative polarities running through it to hold it together. I look at the negative and the positive as the 2 positions we occupy. One is here, emanating, sending, but the other is the unseen, the negative polarized part of yourself that's existing in the unseen realms, in the multiple dimension, multiversal part of you. So yeah, what they're saying with that paper is just confirmation to me for what I've been able to access through my own dimensional being, because I've always known that there was more of me existing while this body was existing. I knew that since the time I was a little kid. So that's profound that science is actually validating what I've always believed to be true.
Yeah. So how there sometimes is a lot of confusion about the 2 terms soul and spirit. How do you define that?
You know, that is a beautiful thing. But I'll get you my favorite definition. Hold on. It's this book. And this one I really like because a lot of people they don't put them into different categories. They blend them into one. And I've always known that that's not true, that they're different things, and they're super different things, and they're both very powerful, but they actually exist as one when we're in the flesh. We have both, where you don't get there, you have to have your soul. You just have to. Okay, so soul, spirit, where are you? Okay, soul and spirit. It says, soul and spirit are not to be conceived as one and the same. The soul, nephesh, is the natural consciousness of life without higher realization of worlds that have preceded this world and the worlds to come. The soul, nephesh, must go through many formations and transformations of rebirth before it can be intertwined with the divine consciousness of your overself. Second, when one understands that the soul is not the same as the spirit or the ruach, one petitions the Godhead for a higher counsel to achieve true knowledge and true wisdom. At that time, ruach, the spirit, is of higher reason, and it is given by God for inspiration and the understanding of the multiple levels of the divine mind. Finally, when the ruach, or the spirit, and the natural soul, the nephesh, are synthesized, the higher aspirations of the union creates the sovereign soul of light, neshma, which is called into the light to beget the fruits of divinity and anoint those called to work of the divine mind as a vehicle of love and wisdom. The formation of the soul-spirit unity necessary to work in the many mansion worlds requires the balance between the first and the second triads of sonship, which are the trinities that live within you. So that's my favorite definition that I found so far regarding soul and spirit. And I think it's as beautifully in alignment with my consciousness as anything I've found thus far.
Yeah, it's interesting, although I will definitely not petition any freaking council of
Me
anything.
neither. Well, see, to me though, petitioning the council while I'm in my human avatar is programmed with many layers of consciousness. Those are connected to the stars, the planets, and higher level of dimensional beings that are what I see as the ones that send forth rays of consciousness onto the solar system. Many call Elohim, which are rays of light in my consciousness. I don't believe these to be what other people believe. I have my own constructs on how light affects the material world and creates geometry and creates physicality. I see it from a more quantum perspective, but I do see that these names and these deities and these hierarchies are actually systems of how the matrix is created. So within my own light structures, my council of 12 is the ability to connect to all the 12 cranial nerves within my brain and receive the highest information from any source available to me through the divine mind. So that is when I consult my council of 12, and then I always activate my 24 because I bring in the other side of my mind. So I call forth the council of 12 within me and activate the 24 elders of the tree of my consciousness that connects to the divine mind. And then I can perceive anything you have a question of. If you have the question, you have the ability to receive the answer. Just go into your mind and be still. You'll get it, and be patient. Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 days before you'll receive what you're inquiring about.
Yeah. Funny enough, we also use the word spirit for non-human entities.
Yes. because the spirit's first. You can't form a body unless you have the consciousness or the awareness to make one.
Yeah, I heard someone else give a definition, and that was the soul is the essence that you take with you through all your journeys that you are doing, and that the spirit is, yeah, once the soul is incarnated here.
The spirit to me is always first. There's nothing
Okay.
before that. The spirit is first because the intelligence, the part of it that understands, has an awareness of its own expression. It has an awareness. Okay, so the first level is you have an awareness of life around you, be it in energy, unseen, unformed, but still perceived, known, felt, and experienced. That's the spiritual part of you, which is immortal. This part is eternal. It's part of the thing that's we're all the same part of. So this part of your existence, you don't have a separation yet. There's no separation from you and all that exists. So within that allness, you have no identity of you. There is no you. It's just everything existing all at once, and it's also silence, and it's also nothing all at once. It's a very intense position. So when you birth out of that source consciousness as a separated membrane of light, and it is through rays of light, and I see it produces like these bubbles, and these bubbles become individual packets of consciousness, but it's all from the universal mind consciousness. So that little piece has all the consciousness of that big thing in a small packet. So then that goes down and goes through geometry, then it goes through color, and then it goes through sound until it eventually integrates and implants itself into the material realms. And then in the material kingdoms, it goes through a whole new process of getting into the natural systems and integrating that into the body. And I think that's why we have a soul, because the soul is that physical integration part. When the membrane of spirit integrates into a physical particle and can create a whole body, it's because of the information that soul already carries about this planet. So I see the soul is like the space suit that you have to have if you're traveling into different physical realms, because this offers the template of the planet. That's why this body looks the way it does, because it's of the earth. It would look different if it was of a different planet or solar system. It would not look the same. It would not operate the same. The internal organs may not be the same, but it still may look like an upright humanoid, but it would not be the same. So your soul helps you integrate the spirit into the material worlds by being able to hold memory complexes and templates of form and function. So that's what I see. So the soul, yes, it could be harmed, destroyed. And if they were to steal your soul, what does that mean? They're stealing your memory. That's what that would mean, in my understanding.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So we have, yeah, okay, we are certainly at the end of the age of Pisces, and Pluto will make a short visit in next year, but then we'll go retrograde again in June, but for 3 months. It will be very interesting and because these are the first feelings of release, freedom, and so forth. And then at the end of 2024, it will settle. Pluto will settle in Aquarius. And we have the last time when that happened, we had the American Revolution, the French Revolution, and yes, they were all hijacked. I know. And that is why we have to be very careful and watchful. Yeah. So, and every time, you know, an era comes to an end, the old system has to crumble away.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise the new one, yeah, cannot really have roots. And so we also have in various traditions, yeah, the legends, the myth that say that in that battle between darkness and light, there comes a point when evil has to serve the light. And I'm always looking out for little hints and pieces of information that hint into that direction. And for instance, it's not that a lot of people report about it. I would have to say that the big media companies are pretty mum on this subject. You know who BlackRock and Vanguard is, yeah? Yeah, okay. So now Vanguard has exited from the 66 trillion net zero coalition.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then this FTX thing with that whole thing blowing up. Oh, that's another good sign. Yeah, I'm seeing them too, Judith. You're right. Yeah, I'm seeing them too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that, you know, if it were just any other firm, I would say, yeah, okay, fine. But Vanguard, you know, they manage a lot of old money, really, really old money. Yeah.
Yes, they do.
And they are also one of the biggest investors in BlackRock.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. I didn't know that, but wow. Yeah, I knew that they had a lot of holdings, but I didn't know that. It seems like almost everybody that has a lot of holdings are involved with that right now,
Mhm.
majority of the world. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it looks like things are shaking up for sure. It's really profound. And, this is like a really good area of focus is now that we've identified who's doing what, see how it goes back into the hands of people who deserve those powers,
Yeah.
that really, really want to make this a great place. We can do this. It's like we got to really, every time we see something like this, we need to see how it could be remedied. That's the best way to do this. It's going to be, what do you do in your mind? You got to get focused. My guidance system has just been really on me lately. We've got to start doing this now. They're like, it's time to start doing this. Every time you see something you don't like, literally imagine how it could fix itself. See the remedy, see the relief, see the healing, see how people are super happy. We have to really create this if we want to see it. And it's the only way it's going to happen is if we have to do it. There's no other option at this point.
Okay, so if you do not see the solution right away, could you theoretically just put it on
Create
hold
one.
or delete it for the time being?
Or create one. Just create one. And that's a meme. This is imagination. Create it. And this is hard for adults because we kind of lose that sometimes. So we got to work on it a little bit, but that's all right. But create it. So imagine, make it fun, bring in superheroes, do whatever you want. That's what I'm saying. The more of us that have millions of different ways to see this fixing itself, I mean, you could see a war breaking out, it's the spaceships going on and go, hey, we told you kids to stop fighting, guess what, now your toys don't work. Use your imagination, go crazy, have fun. Really, the better you go, the closer you are to truth, because your imagination is your highest superpower. So embrace it.
Mm.
Yeah. Go big. Go big.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get what you are saying. I have a feeling that a lot of people feel silly about this, doing
Yes.
such things,
Yep.
because the overall attitude is, oh, yeah, we are really, you know, just regular people. We do not have any power. And what can we do against this? And nobody cares about us. And the power have all the other people, and we are so helpless. And that is a program that is running underneath, even if it is not in the conscious mind. And
Yes.
I have to say, really, guys, get over it. You are so
Mhm.
much more powerful than you think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, they say move that mountain, the mountain shall move. Nobody's moved a mountain yet, and I know that we can.
Mhm.
We can. We really can. It's literally we can do these things. But you're like I said, people feel silly doing that. Well, because you've been trained to be suppressive. You've been trained to be controlled and to comply to society, and the society's rules were set up by the people that wish to keep you in control because they know that if they lose the majority of the people, then their world will no longer reflect their wishes. It will reflect ours. And that is the ultimate terrifying fact.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly believe that in the end, those plans will to crumble to dust anyhow.
You know,
I'm not saying it will be a walk through the park. No, there will be suffering. You can bet your head on it. And but no, they can, you cannot go against nature and think you are going to win.
nope, you're right. I agree. Yeah. And you know how so many people talked about the bifurcation, the splitting? You know, we're finding out now we do have multiple realities happening at the same time. Okay, so what if like these major conjunctions, like Pluto returning, it hasn't been here in what, 200 years or something? So
248 years, yeah.
Yeah, Pluto return is it's not a common event. And we've been known on this planet to go through these huge cataclysmic events and these resets, and they're cyclic. I wonder if Pluto returning is the marker, and that's the marker that they use. So this is going to be a time that we're going to go through one of these big redos, and the bifurcation is what I've seen, what I was shown when I was 10 years old, and I didn't know what any of this meant. I couldn't, I had no language for it. I didn't understand it, but I was shown the earth would split into two earths. And one would be at a higher vibration, one would be at a lower vibration, one would be more third dimensional, one would be living in a fifth dimensional reality. And that this would happen as one door closed and one door open. Well, that would make sense from Pisces to Aquarius. One door closed, one door opens. So this is all making sense to me as an adult, but I didn't understand it at all when I was young. But I was so confused because I was like, well, how would the world split? And we wouldn't, how would everybody die? I was like, what does that mean? And he said, you wouldn't even know it happened when it did. We wouldn't know. We wouldn't even know what happened because the two realities, when they actually split apart, and whatever's going on in your consciousness is going to determine which next part of your process you're going to go travel through, and it's going to be a vibrational match. So wherever your consciousness is where you're going to go when the one door closes and the one door opens. So this was what they told me, that the bifurcation, it would happen, the splitting, it would happen so organically and so naturally that we wouldn't even know what happened when it did. But eventually, the people that are not ringing at the same vibrational capacity that you are, eventually they will start to disappear from our world slowly, but in a natural accordance with how it would process in a natural world. And it wouldn't, you would never know it was different. And it would just eventually evolve into different ways of living and expressing on the planet. So one group of humanity is going to go into a fifth dimensional, very more beneficial physical human experience, as to where another one is going into a more third dimensional experience. It's going to be very technological and very advanced with technology. So that was the differences I saw between the two. One's more organic, one's more technological, and the technological can't vibrate as high as the organic is vibrating, apparently.
Mm. And so, but we would notice that Some people are missing after a while, or is there a version of us in both realities?
That's possible. I wondered that too, because I did kind of see that, and then one died somehow. So yeah, I do think that the physical avatar eventually will die in one of the realities that you're no longer going to be participating in. But you're right, Judith. We might be existing on both for a time. That could be. You could be right with that. I don't know, but that sounds like that could be right.
Because, let's say there is a split, and then you have the same cast in
Yeah,
3D as you have in 5D.
yeah,
So
that's
I
kind of what
don't
I'm
really
seeing.
see then the difference, because you would end up with the same mindset of a whole group of people, and then you have to go somehow figure out how to go against it, or how to work around it, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, well, you know how like your consciousness is like, so many people around me, they're just not aware at all. But you are, and you're in a different vibrational field already.
Mhm.
So already you're there. But can you see how many more don't hold that frequency? See, this is, I think, what the Pluto return is. It's an awakening. It's more of the book of, it's going to be revelation. A lot of people are going to be waking up because something in my intuition, and when I was getting this information from when the child prophet was doing her thing, and that was profound. But when the child prophet was speaking to me, after she was done speaking to me, I started drawing the symbol of Pluto, and I didn't even know what it was, and I drew it. I just kept drawing it over and over and over and over again. And I kept hearing, this is the gate. Pay attention. This is the door. So this Pluto return thing, this is massively significant,
Yeah, I
massively.
think
And
so
I think
too.
it's a subconscious awakening. It's going to affect the hidden memories. So a lot of people are going to start to remember their power. They're going to remember what they are. They're going to start to see the illusion. That's why we had a Revolutionary War the last time Pluto was here, because people were like, I see your game and I'm not having it no more. And that's why they all left Britain. This is the same energy coming in, Judith. So this is huge, and this is very powerful and super potential, big potential.
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I would say that is also part why they are ramping everything up, and they are
Yes,
going too fast now. And
yes,
when you're going too fast, you will make mistakes. There's no
yes.
way around that. And so sometimes I look at these headlines, with CBDCs and all the wonderful plans that come along with it.
Mhm.
Just today read an online article that openly said, yeah, it will be limited. You can only use it for a limited amount of time. In other words, you can no longer save anything. Yeah, because it will simply not be valid anymore.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so.
things are getting definitely strange and aggressive. But
Mm.
I will tell you, like you said, they're moving too fast. I think that that's a panic factor. Something's not going as planned, and that's because of the consciousness. And this is getting stronger, not weaker. And it's so funny because I keep saying or seeing every time they push, they're expecting us to fall down, but it's doing the opposite. It's actually waking people up. So this is what I'm seeing. So it's like everything that was done before and it used to be effective, it's not working anymore. And I'm seeing this like throughout. So I think this is huge, and things might start going our way, and they'll go faster if we can see it going our way, and see it going our way, and see it going our way, and see it going our way some more.
Yeah, and just what I think is really important is mental resistance. Yeah,
Yes.
And I'm not saying nobody should show up on the street if it is organized, if it's organized well. Demonstrations can be futile as well if you're just screaming out your anger and it has not really any intention other than that, and there's no real purpose. The demonstrations can be useless. But it depends. It very much depends. But what is equally, if not even more important, is the mental resistance.
Yes. I see a lot of these things are being also used as traps. I've seen a lot of people in the United States, so they're all sitting in jail now because they just showed up on the thing at the Capitol and they didn't even do anything. So this is incredible what I'm seeing. We've seen some of the similar stuff in Canada with the truckers, and now there are no bank accounts and all this stuff. So yeah, there's an incredible pushback. Um, the mental thing, you're right, Judith, that's your strongest tool right now, and it's your safest tool. Okay, because they are trying to identify the ones who aren't thinking the same because they need compliance, and that's not going so well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's getting worse by the day, I would
Well, I'm
say.
even seeing China starting to wake up, but
Yeah,
it had to get really bad before they start pushing back, and that's kind of sad that it's had to get so bad before
yeah,
they're
but
making
China didn't even have a taste of freedom ever. First, they
tasted
had
it.
these emperors, and then
Yeah.
they went straight into communism.
That's
Yeah.
what I mean. It's about what you think is reality is reality. So
Mm.
now they've seen what freedom looks like because of the internet. And look how suppressed their internet access was. They didn't want them to see the way that we lived. But once they did see that, it started to affect their consciousness.
Yeah.
So we're affecting each other's consciousness. And I just pray China will experience freedom before they leave this earth. Please be free. I hope they find freedom.
Yeah.
If anyone would deserve it, it would be them.
Mm. So, have you ever heard of the Patal?
Of the what?
Patal. They are
It
written PAA, new word TAL.
sounds familiar. What is that?
Okay, very hard to get, yeah, I would say solid information. But the story goes like this. The Patal were a race that was participating in seeding life here in this galaxy. And their chief geneticist allegedly was named Yahweh.
Mhm.
So yeah, there are some more stories, but how do you feel about that?
I think that's a strong potential. There's so much records. I don't think they created us. I think they modified us. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I think. So I do think though that they had our hands in the bodies that we have now very well could be from their genetic tweaking. But they started with bodies before us. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like they created us. No, they tweaked us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that some people say that the Anunnaki created us, but I don't think that either. I will, yeah, it's possible that they tampered with our genetics. Yeah, I wouldn't rule that one out, but
Mhm.
that they are really the creators, no, 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 no. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah,
Mm.
no. But I do think they tweaked with us. Like I said, what I've been shown was we've been massively tweaked at least 5 times.
Mhm.
And I think the one in Egypt, I think was really bad, and many humans didn't even survive that. And then they had to kind of start over because they all were really, once they messed with them, it was really bad, I guess. like they were zombies. They couldn't even function. They wouldn't have no more sex. They were going to lose the whole human race because they dumbed us down so hard. That's what I
Mm,
saw. I don't know if that's true. That's absolute imagination land. No theory or proof. But
mm.
that's what I saw. And it was pretty wild what I saw.
Yeah, these days we dumb ourselves down. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you don't have to worry
And
about
you
that.
might know the weird thing was, you know how they started the poisoning of the whole human race at that time? They did it through cereal.
Mhm. Yeah, sure.
That's what I saw.
Hmm.
Don't know.
Yeah, that is something that I never eat.
Yeah.
Mm.
Lots of people love it. Like I said, cereal. Yeah, that was one of the main ways they got it done. And
Mhm.
food control, controlling the food.
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
Sure, sure.
Like I said,
Yeah.
I've seen this go down before, and it's going down again. And the only way it won't be really, really bad is if people realize what's happening and start to be proactive and get as ready as you can and make preparations to grow some food and do stuff. You're going to have to become a little more self-sufficient than you've ever been before, because these things usually take away our conveniences. So the things we're used to might not be available, especially for periods of time, and then they might come back online. But we might be losing a lot of stuff temporarily because we're going to be going through some transition for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, if some things would disappear forever,
Mhm.
um, yeah, I would be okay with that.
Yeah, I think many of us would be.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And so recently I did an interview with Dr. Judd Burton. He's an anthropologist and also a biblical researcher. And so we talked about watcher technology. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what we can see here. So programmable matter, black goo, and what have you. Yeah. And during that conversation, I asked him because Mr. Elon Musk recently announced that he thinks that within the next 6 months, he would be ready to implant his Neuralink into somebody. Yeah. And so I asked him, what do you think? Does that fall in the category as well of watch attack? And he said, yeah, I would say so. And so, what is your read on Elon Musk? I mean, on the one hand, he is publishing these files. And on the other hand, he can't wait to chip you. So these are, to me, these are two extremes. I have to say, right from the get-go, I'm not on the Elon Musk bandwagon. Absolutely not. I see him more as a Trojan horse. That doesn't mean that nothing good can come out of it. I think what we are reading right now from everything that he has published is not really astonishing, not to me and not to you, but to you, yeah. Um, but I think it's astonishing for some people. So, what is your read on Elon?
Well, ever since I first heard his name, I was like, interesting. He's the god El and the god On.
Hmm.
So
Mm.
that's his lineage.
Yeah,
The first god on this planet was and then the other next name was On. So we still have on our light switches. All of our electrical devices still hold the name of the god On. So
yeah,
Elon, Elon, Elon. He's Elohim. I do not know if he is purely the same genetic species as you and I carry. I wonder that sometimes. I think he is a very special individual who has been chosen to do a very special role in this game we play called life. So I look at the potential of him, and he is so powerful with his brain and his money. He has both parts, and both are operating apparently very well. So when I look at that potential, and I look at the potential of Neuralink and all these linking things, and you look at the prophecies of the mark of the beast and all this stuff, I look at all this stuff and I'm like, okay, this is obviously maybe the thing that we're looking at for the end of times and the whole marking thing. And if that's all real and true, then he's obviously the creator of it. So that would mean that if that would be maybe the Antichrist position, the Satan position that they spoke of. And what if he flips and Satan turns to love, turns to good, and
Mm.
has the ability to create an amazing, beautiful advancement for humanity? So I can see him being one role or the other role. But I have a very strong suspicion within the bifurcation, he will be obligated to play both roles. So in one dimension, he will express in one way, in the other dimension, he will express in the other. So that's what I have seen. Whether or not, I don't know. It's all speculation. I have no idea. Theory.
Mhm.
But I think he is, he's got a very important role at this time on our planet. And I do see there's a few individuals that I've seen bilocate and biforcate. So I've seen them existing on both realities and expressing different personalities on those different realities. So that might be a potential we're looking at as well.
Mhm. Yeah.
But just with his
Yeah.
name and his power and his intellect, we're dealing with a very powerful being and a very ancient being. And I know I know that. I can feel it. He's an ancient being. So
Mhm.
his soul is very, 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 very old.
Mhm. Yeah.
If he has one, he could be AI. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. I really don't. I have no. I would. That's a great. I would like really. I'd like to know. How do you know that? And can you identify it? And do you know? And would you tell us if you did know? That would be cool. Are you? What are
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
Yeah.
You got L on as your name. You got to be something kind of special because most people don't get the name dual God coming into this reality and have billions of dollars and an IQ off the charts. So what's up with you? I'm interested. I want to know.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
curious. I just want to know.
yeah. Do you think that because of this watch attack and anything else that's going on here right now, we might see very, very weird things in the foreseeable future, and people who have never ever looked at these subjects, they will kind of lose it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's even biblical. Men will, hearts will fail for the things of which they see. I think that's going to go so full spectrum on so many different levels. Yeah. Yeah, they're not going to make it through this. They're going to lose it. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
many will. Many will. They won't be able. This will shatter their reality so hard and so fast. Just one thing can do it. Massive earthquake, a financial collapse. They're so in the loop of their little world. If it gets broken apart, they're going to fall apart because they don't have enough internal strength and fortitude within their own being to know that they're going to make it through it. They're going to fall apart.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of us, we're going to be able to help some of these people through that. But a lot of them, it will be too much for them, Judith. It'll just be too much.
Yeah, or imagine you are in a situation like a financial or social collapse or whatever.
Mhm.
Plus,
Mhm.
on top of it, all of a sudden, you see watchers walking around here. Manifested.
Yeah, that's probably going to be true because it says in the end that the angels would walk among us. Who says that they aren't angels?
Mhm.
The angels were sent to watch over the sons of God. Well, wouldn't watchers and watch over and kind of same language.
Mhm.
What is an
Yeah,
alien?
and you have hints of that even in pop culture. Have you ever seen the TV series Fringe?
No, I haven't seen Fringe.
Oh, great
I've heard it
series.
was wonderful. Yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And in that series, they had a species, they called them the observers. And these observers were with humanity at all, yeah, very important junctures. They actually, yeah, let's say, observed us since day one. Yeah, so they didn't call them watchers, but um, and they appeared. Yeah, they looked a little bit like Men in Black. Yeah,
Mhm.
and guess what? In the series, they take over the planet and they erect a dystopian dictatorship.
Yeah, that would be the fault, the negative timeline, third dimensional timeline.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what that would look like, and that's what I saw. So
Mm.
they are going to run that potential, but will you align with it? See, if you don't align with it, it will not show up in your world.
Mhm.
It won't. You'll go to a different place, and part of you might still exist in the third dimensional. I don't know how it's all going to work out. It's way bigger than my brain, Judith. I know that much. I know that much. It's way bigger than my brain. They're trying to tell me what they can as they can, but I can only comprehend these are huge concepts of watching quantum separation. It's based, that's the best word I can give to it. It's a quantum separation. It's the new creation point. It's literally how things are born. This is, we're going through a birthing for real, like for real, on a quantum level. This is crazy huge. Crazy huge.
Mhm.
I don't know
Yeah.
how it's gonna go.
Yeah, that will be very, very interesting to see how that goes and how it all works out if we, all of us, live in both realities, 3D, 5D, or just, a few people. And yeah,
It might, yeah.
I have to say, I have a long list of people that I do not want to see there.
You know, but if they're existing on a higher vibration and they flip their polar charge and they turn into the best part of them, you might not mind them being there because you might see a whole different side of them.
That is
So,
correct, but
yeah.
for the moment, we have been duped too many times.
Oh, this
Yeah,
is for sure.
yeah. And a lot of things and a lot of, let's say, political leaders and yeah, have come and gone. And look where we are.
Yeah.
And the political savior is always something, I'm suspicious of anyone who's
It
grabbing for
always
power.
goes, it always leads to our demise.
Mm,
Every time we get a new political or leader, it ends to the demise. I think this is a part of the new consciousness that's going to come into consciousness, is that there will be no more leaders. There
mm,
will be councils, and nobody will hold the power. It will be divided among many, and those many will be chosen upon their loyalty to humanity and the choosing to be of service to others rather than service to self. And if they can't hold that frequency and they can't stand in that presence of that wisdom, they will not be allowed to be on the council. So I think that's where we're going in fifth dimensional. There will be no more governments. There will be councils, and it's just a place where we come together to organize for the betterment of the whole. And it
mhm,
no longer is looked at as your country, my country. It is seen as, this is our planet and we need to help fix it because we messed it up and we got to fix it. So, and these councils will come in with some very good ideas, because when we come together and we go to the divine mind and we come back and discuss what we brought forth from the divine mind for solutions, the group will see the highest potential of how to make it happen in this world, and we'll see it together. And when we start unifying, it's game over. Game over, Judith. We win.
mhm.
Straight up,
Yeah.
we win. Yep.
Have you ever entertained the thought that the word or the term better, service to others could also mean in service to other entities that are actually malevolent to us.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You got to look at all the potentials of the reversals of everything in this matrix. So everything you can see, you need to go, okay, now what's the opposite side of that? Be it good or bad. You need to look at what's the opposite polarity of that, because it's the same thing. It's just being expressed on negative pole or positive pole, but everything has a dark side and everything has a light side in this third dimensional atomic structure. Everything. Yeah.
So the last item that I briefly wanted to talk to you about is, I don't know if you have heard it. It is from 2017. I talked to others in interviews about it, but I particularly am interested in your take on this. So there was an article and there used to be a study, and that study said that in the so-called junk DNA, the non-coding DNA, there was, they found out that the Aramaic language is in that DNA, and they even found sentences. So now, have you ever heard of that? I have to say the study itself was scrubbed. And there is a lot of controversial ideas about this. Some say it's totally nonsense. Others are over the moon with it. So what do you think?
The first time I heard about that, it was discovered by a scientist, and I heard it through a conference that Greg Braden did. And a scientist who discovered the code was an atheist. So it rocked her world. She did not like what she had discovered when she broke the code. And yeah, literally, that was what they said. It literally had a formative sentence, and it literally announced that I am your creator. And now you have discovered the secrets of creation and share them with each other peacefully. So yeah, there was messages within the DNA code for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But
Yeah.
why Aramaic? Why not an older language? And that is the point that I don't get.
That's a great question, Judith. I wonder if Aramaic is one of the foundational base languages
Mm-mm.
ever. No, it's not.
No.
So then
Some
that means
people say
that
Sanskrit
means
is the oldest language, but that is also not true. It's actually Tamil.
okay. With that, that means that it's evidence that it was rewritten. Our
Yeah,
code was written in this for this timeline. Like this is this body we have, whatever it has, it's got the current books.
Mhm.
That was the upgrade, I think, in Egypt. And that might be why it was Aramaic. Did they use Aramaic in Egypt?
Mm-mm.
What did
They
they
had
use?
their own language, the hieroglyphs,
Well, hmm,
because Aramaic is a totally different type of writing.
Aramaic, Abrahamic. Hmm, I don't know.
It's
That's
the
interesting.
language that was spoken during the time of Jesus. If you believe that such an entity
Right.
is historic.
I wonder, well, obviously, whatever, if the code is written in Aramaic in the DNA, that means that timeline and that language was when we went through our latest genetic manipulation. Yeah,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
that's the books we're holding. That would be the book. Yeah, so that would be that. Interesting. It is in Aramaic though. That's very interesting. There's got to be a bigger meaning behind that. I'll meditate on that because you're onto
Yeah.
something with that. You are onto something with that. I feel like it is important. Hmm.
Yeah, I think at first glance, I have to say, I looked at it and
Hmm.
somehow it felt right, but then again, I thought Aramaic, why Aramaic?
Right. Right.
It's so much, you
Yeah.
know, farther down the line, that language, that it cannot have to anything to do with the original creation.
You know what I just saw in my mind's eye was I saw that the Aramaic code is the code in the DNA which you can read and see, but the true codes are definitely hidden. There, you can't see them with the visible eye. So I
Mhm.
don't know what that means exactly, but the true codes are not Aramaic, is what they just showed me. So I don't know. That's a
Mhm.
great question, though. Like I said, that's something to really meditate about because you're onto something with that. But it does seem like that would be maybe the Watchers, and that's the code that the Watchers gave us for this new bodies that we have now in this time period. Because this is, like I said, I've seen 5 modifications of us,
Yeah.
big ones.
Couldn't
Yeah.
they have thrown in a sturdy spine for everybody? And you know, we
You
have
know,
so many problems with the skeleton and you know, the strong gravity here that is really yeah, causing a lot of problems for people over the
you
years.
know, Judith, it's so crazy because um, there's ways to completely fix that right here, right now on this planet. We just don't currently have access to them. So, like I said, a lot of this stuff that we're going through is not necessary, but it's being done because we've put our faith into these system and these leaders that are truly not serving our highest and best good. So we just got a lot of changes to make because we're coming into a lot of truth, and we're going to have to start doing a lot of our own research and taking things into our own hands and learning how to become a little bit more self-sufficient, because when the leaders get angry, they're going to pull away all the things that make us comfortable. So it
Mhm.
looks like they're starting this already because the children are rebelling because their consciousness is evolving faster than they had ever anticipated.
Yeah, yeah. Here they will pull the plug on the energy grid. Europe is in big, big trouble.
I know.
And yeah, but guess what will happen? When they pull the plug here, they will even make more people angry. I mean,
Yes,
mm,
Judith, yes. That's what I'm telling you. Pray. Pray that this is how it goes. Every time they do something, it's going to ignite the fire so much brighter than they ever have the tools to extinguish.
mm,
Fire
yeah,
us up. Go ahead. Fire us up.
yeah, exactly.
And
So
unfortunately,
Trina, yeah,
Judith,
go
so
ahead.
many are asleep. They got to get a fire under their butt right now. So, oh, darn it. Darn it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So Trina, that was great. I really love our talks.
Me too. I just think the world of you, and I love your consciousness.
Oh, thank
So,
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, so guys, that was it. Night flight for today. And this is my last interview for 2022. I will take a short hiatus, and
Good for
my
you.
YouTube channel is on private again. And it will be reopened on the 11th of March. Until then, bye bye.
Bye bye.